Good morning, everybody. And as we start off a new week here, one of the most important things we'll be discussing is kind of the overall pattern change that we're going to be breaking away from. Our first animation starts with last night's satellite data as the sun was setting right here. We still have the deep upper level trough. We have the cutoff low that moved out of Southern California into Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, spreading some rainfall. And some of that rain even got over here and toward the Appalachian Mountains in the mid-Atlantic. But one of the first places we're going to start to notice the big change is going to be here. You can still see the wildfire smoke in the Pacific Northwest. Well, that wildfire smoke is going to be snuffed out here, hopefully by the time we're talking next Monday, as this system really starts to, well, just evolve. Deeper trough rolls in here, brings in a lot of wetter weather, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But it was interesting as we were watching this upper level low spin here, we did get some snow over the weekend. That brought in some of the first accumulating snows for parts of the upper Midwest. And this will be a map we're going to have to start taking a whole lot more look at. But the weekend rainfall was mostly confined to that upper level low, and then the front that kind of stretched out right in through here, linking up with that cutoff low that came out of California. We did get some severe weather out of this, including some strong winds and hail through parts of Oklahoma into Arkansas. And this locally put down some very heavy rainfall. But the bigger picture over the last 30 days continues to show just a broad section here of the middle part of the United States that's been extremely dry. We've also been very dry in the Pacific Northwest and the Great Basin as well. So this has led, of course, to a continuation of much of the Mississippi watershed showing very low soil moisture. And over the weekend, I got some pictures from Jeff Tarsi, works for us here at Nutrien Ag Solutions, of what things look like right around Mississippi. And he sent me a few pictures, but this one was really quite revealing. You can just see how low the water is in this empty barge here that's pushing across the Mississippi. And right now at Memphis, we can see that the water levels are down here almost 10 feet, or a little bit more than 10 feet, below the low stage of 5 feet. So this is extremely dry. So questions we're going to ask in this video: when do we see the change, and what will be the timing of that change, and what do we have to deal with until then? Let's get to that last question first. This is what we're dealing with now. The deep upper level low continues to spin. Winter storm warnings out for the UP. Several inches of snow are possible here. It's going to be a very challenging forecast to figure out how much snow is going to fall in the UP and Michigan. But we will see strong winds coming off the lake here across Michigan, and that's all going to be helping to push cold air really far to the south. It seems as though Tuesday into Wednesday will be the farthest to the south. We'll see the extent of the cold air, possibly touching the Gulf Coast and parts of Mississippi and Alabama. And yes, this is much deeper into the south than what we thought it would be last week. So all of this is freeze warning coming through here. We'll have lows in the teens, possible in the Midwest. So some very cold air that's coming through here. In the Northwest, this is all air quality alerts due to the wildfire smoke there. But this is the pattern change. We're going to deal with this until we get to about Thursday. Okay, this is a big ridge over the west, deep trough over the east, very dry in between. The pattern is shifting as much higher momentum air moves through the Pacific and dives into the Pacific Northwest by the time we get to the end of this week and then start a new week. Big things that are going to change: a lot of snow in the mountains in the west, very inclement weather, cold and wet. And we're going to start to see the Gulf open up for parts of the plains, Midwest, Mid-South, and Southeast that could really deliver quite a bit of wet weather. Possibly also some strong to severe storms. So let's kind of piece it together here with today's European model run. As we work our way through the day on Monday, the front slides farther to the south, clearing out through Texas, but the upper level low continues to spin, and that's where we're going to see that very heavy snowfall throughout the day today into Tuesday as well. The low continues to spin through Ontario into Quebec. And by the time we get out to Friday, notice that for much of this week, a broad section here, in fact, most of the United States is going to be dry. It's only going to be around that upper level low. We're seeing precipitation. But our attention is going to turn here. And by the time we get into Friday morning, afternoon, and evening, that's the first of two powerful lows coming into the Pacific Northwest, accompanied by a much deeper trough. At the same time that that's occurring, there will be an upper level low that comes off of the Florida, Georgia, South Carolina coast late this weekend. So this is Sunday morning, possibly spreading some locally heavy rain into the Carolinas. But this is the first of two lows that will likely eject into the plains. What's important about this is the orientation of these isobars. We're running north-south, meaning this will tap into Gulf moisture at this point. I don't think the models are yet resolving what this feature is going to be next Sunday, Monday, but it could include the risk of some stronger storms. Round 2 then comes in on Sunday night into the Pacific Northwest, and it's going to pull out into the plains as well. And as long as we keep this deeper trough in the west, it'll be very active, slowing down the harvest windows and really kind of shutting things down. So for the next 5 to 7 days, much of the Midwest, the Mid-South, curling right here into parts of New England are going to be drier, this whole region. But it'll be starting at the end of this week going into next week that the pattern becomes much more active. Again, with troughs dipping in like this and ejecting through the plains and Midwest, that opens the Gulf and just gets things quite a bit more active. So we're going to be watching here the last week of October, these windows really start to shut down. Now, we kind of hinted at the frost risk earlier, but I do want to just show you a map. This is from the National Digital Forecast Database. I've mapped out here where we expect the low temperatures to either touch 32 or get below that. And as I said, a lot of lows in the teens possible early this week in the Midwest and North, but we could see that frost almost touch the Gulf Coast here as the front slides south. Here's what the actual high temperatures are forecast to be with anomalies shaded. So Monday into Tuesday and Wednesday. It seems as though Wednesday morning, so from Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, that could be the deepest extent of the cold air while the Northwest just stays in the 70s, maybe 80s. But watch the warm-up happen as the pattern shifts. Ready? That's Thursday's highs into Friday and Saturday, Sunday. So I did that kind of quick there. There's Saturday into Sunday. So incredible warm-up here. Open up the Gulf, though. And this is going to be bringing a lot colder air here. Now, outside of that, I just want to bring up some information about South America, and I'll cover this more in tonight's in-depth report. Still seeing better rains in Mato Grosso. Some of the rains are now being forecast to fill in the east. We're a little drier in Goiás. There's still a front parked here, which means we're dry along the Paraná River. But we can see maybe a little bit more moisture coming into Argentina. Will it undo the long-range drought? It won't, but there's at least a better chance at seeing some spring precipitation. Mato Grosso released their planting progress on Friday. 41% planted. A year ago, 45%. That was the fastest pace in 5 years. The 5-year average, though, was 24%. So I'm going to bring you up to speed on that. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk again tonight in my in-depth report, and we'll keep these going all week. Thanks.